For more, we're joined by political analyst Professor Kedibone Phago. A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, some of these events in our politics have revealed some of the underlying tensions within the different parties. Perhaps let's talk a little bit about the reluctance to parties collaborating with the MK party. We've just listened to the reasons by EFF Leader Julius Malema. He says he feels betrayed by the MK party under former President Jacob Zuma's leadership. What's your take?
Good evening, Paul, and thank you so much for having me. It's a very interesting point that and a situation that we are actually witnessing as South Africans, because you would imagine that if political parties share the same ideology, it should actually be a bit easier for them to sit down and collaborate and strategize for their future polls and say, how can we work together, especially if they want to unseat the very strong and dominant ANC. And this is actually good for the ANC, because then it is assured that MK and EFF solidarity will not threaten its existence. It is only its own enemy if its electoral fortunes are not turned around in future. But for somebody who looks into the political questions around the continent, you will also realize that this is not new at all. And even in the formation of the Organization of African Unity in the 1960s, this has always been the question of uniting Africa, and we are still witnessing very similar elements that we've seen for decades to date, to say, how can you find one another on the continent, or in this particular instance in South Africa, to try and put together the wishes, to try and put together the aspirations of people that have actually experienced a very difficult colonial and apartheid past. So here we are looking at those similar elements. And of course, as Julius said, the main underlying issue is that many form political parties to establish their own fiefdoms, and never really for the plight of the South Africans or for the Africans. So you can actually make a very clear determination from this that we will not be helped in any manner whatsoever by our current political parties in South Africa or elsewhere on the continent.
Professor Phago, one cannot ignore that there's a history of personalities as we listen to sentiments from both ends, listening to EFF leader Julius Malema as well as the MK party's Floyd Shivambu. How much does that influence the decisions around collaboration, also considering the triangle, the pyramid, former President Jacob Zuma, EFF leader Julius Malema and Floyd Shivambu?
Indeed, Mpo, I think for what we are witnessing now, it's just a continuation of what we have seen right from the establishment of the MK party itself. And I think MK party is quite a very interesting party to analyze its formation using, I think I listened to one of the ANC leaders recently. I think it's Becky Kele, who was actually at pains to explain how the former MK members of the ANC make sense of themselves in many platforms, because now when they talk about MK, they need to explain themselves. So just the formation of MK has been a very controversial topic for us in South Africa. And then we saw the departure of many people from ANC, from MK, from EFF to consolidate the MK party. So it's a very controversial, and of course, you cannot ignore it in our political landscape today. And I think it has caused a lot of ructions, ruffled a lot of feathers in the ANC, and especially as well as the EFF.
What does this now signal as we look ahead to the next general elections and, you know, the composition of the GNU and the criticism that's come with it?
So it is a very important question that will continue to perpetuate as we look into our political landscape. And I think you are very, very correct on that one, that we are seeing who is actually able to collaborate with MK Party. Will the EFF find a way? Will ANC find a means to collaborate with the MK Party? Under what conditions? Will DA do that? Or, you know, smaller parties like Action SA. So that is going to be a multi-million-dollar question to see who is actually bold enough to say we will court with MK Party for whatever political ends. You know, so I'm very certain that many political parties are discussing that question, especially in KZN and in Mpumalanga, where the MK Party has shown to be very strong at this point in time. So it's a space that we need to watch very closely and see if it is evolving to especially to increase its electoral fortunes. And that is actually another major important element that we need to observe on whether the MK Party will be increasing in this coming local government elections in 2026, or and what that will mean for the 2029 general election. So it's a very important political party at this point in time in South Africa to watch.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking to us and weighing in on that conversation, wrapping that discussion with political analyst Professor Kedibone Phago.